Hey guys, it's Savannah, and today I wanted to talk a little bit with you about one of my most favorite sort of topics when it comes to the subject of health and wellness, and that is actually ridding your body of the toxins that accumulate in it over time. Now, toxins can come from a whole, spectrum of different places, whether that be from the air that you're breathing. There are toxins from vehicles, from cars and airplanes, toxins from people even burning things, and toxins from pollution and things like that. Toxins can build up in your body, especially from the food that we eat, whether that be, pesticides, or if you're eating processed foods, all the horrible stuff in there. Toxins can come, one of the most common places for toxins to come from is from the medical industry, whether that be medication or whether that be vaccines. A lot of those formulations and things like that have sort of unwanted but kind of needed ingredients in them, and so those can actually accumulate and cause you some symptoms and sort of weigh down on your body and weigh down on your liver especially. And a lot of people are actually surprised to know and to find out that toxins can actually accumulate in children, even young children, like just even under a year old. Sometimes those kids can be overrun by toxins, and especially if you're dealing with something like, I don't know if you've ever heard of, and I've never really talked about it, but it's something that I've been researching a lot lately, and something that I actually found out nearly half the population actually has this gene mutation called MTHFR. And this mutation, it just makes it hard for your body and for your liver to detoxify and to clean out your body. And so people, like I said, 40 to 50% of people actually have this gene mutation, and most people don't even know, because most people don't go in for a genetic profile unless they have some other kind of symptoms or some other kind of indicators that they're looking for, or unless you go through something like a website called 23andMe, where you actually look at your genetics yourself. You spit in a little tube and then you send it off, and then through the power of the internet, which is amazing, you actually can see your genetic profile and things that you're genetically predispositioned to. And one component that you are actually told about your genetic makeup is whether you have this mutation, MTHFR. So like I said, MTHFR can make it more difficult for your body to detoxify. And I don't think anybody's arguing that we as humans are around an enormous amount of toxins, way more toxins than we should be, and way more toxins than we have ever been around before. So today I'm specifically going to be talking about helping children detox their bodies. And I know over the past year or two, this sort of subject of detoxification has really become popular. And it mostly, I believe, is because people are suffering. People are suffering mentally, whether that be mental illness like depression or anxiety, which, can have something to do with a buildup of toxins in the body. And more than that, people are suffering physically. People are suffering all sorts of different problems that can directly stem from a buildup of toxins in the body. So when my oldest son started suffering symptoms of eczema and the dry, itchy, scaly skin that everybody knows to be eczema has become a super duper common problem in kids nowadays for what I believe has to do with a lot with the toxins that they are exposed to at such a young age. So these kids, they're suffering this toxic buildup in the body, and there's really not that much information out there about helping a child detoxify in a natural and gentle way. And when I talk to parents, I feel like that is the most common concern, is making sure that it's done in a gentle way, because there is a way, especially when you're ingesting things to help your liver, like a liver cleanse and things like that, things that people aren't comfortable giving their kids, because it just does things way too fast, and it can make things worse before they get better. And while an adult can, deal with that, can deal with the reaction of that toxic, stir up as it leaves the body, you don't really want to see your child go through that. And so what I found, one of the most gentle ways to help a child detox is through a bath. You know, children can show signs of a toxic load in their body in a magnitude of different ways. This could, show itself in things like insomnia. You hear a lot about parents giving their kids melatonin because their kids are having a hard time sleeping. I personally don't agree with giving melatonin, especially on a regular basis, to a child, because that is a hormone that is produced by your body. And so if you give melatonin all the time, your child learns to rely on that, and their body feels like, oh wow, I must be making enough melatonin because I have this huge amount of melatonin when it comes time for bed, so I don't need to make any more. And then so they actually become dependent on that outside melatonin. But like I'm saying, a lot of kids have insomnia and sleeping problems, and this can actually be a sign of liver overload. A lot of kids are suffering from skin problems, like I said, eczema, my own son suffered from. They can be getting sick all the time, which is indicative of a low immune system and an immune system that isn't functioning properly. They can deal with things like hives and recurring hives that have really seemingly no rhyme or reason why your child is breaking out in hives, which also goes back to the, skin disorders and things like that. They can also, a lot of kids are suffering from behavioral problems, whether that be ADD, ODD, ADHD, or even, something that's not even diagnosed, just simply having behavioral issues and things like that. And that can actually even be indicative of a toxic overload in the body. A detox bath is really preferred and really gentle enough for a child because it uses the body's own detoxification system. It just, when your child is in the bath, the hot water itself opens up their pores and helps the liver just kind of expel those toxins out. So as I was saying, when a child is taking a detox bath, their pores are wide open. Their pores, it's the ingredients in the bath as well as, like I said, the hot water, the temperature of the water in the bath helps keep the pores open. And so when you do a bath like this, you want to make sure that you either don't wash the child at all, have this, on just a night when you're not going to use soap, not going to use shampoo or anything like that. Or if you are, because this detox bath actually includes apple cider vinegar, which some people tend to find the smell a little offensive. I clean with it, I drink it, and I've kind of gotten used to the smell. But a lot of people they find the smell, it very foul, and they don't like the smell at all. If you want to wash your child's body after the bath, using something gentle like a Castile soap or an all-natural soap or something like that that doesn't have toxins to just put back in their body, which is counterproductive, as you can obviously see, then that would be fine. So for my own personal use for my son, when he was full-on suffering from eczema symptoms, I found myself doing this bath. I found it most effective when I was doing this bath once or twice a week. And I could really see the difference. And I would find that his eczema spots would be, bright red, irritated, itchy, and then he would go into the bath and they would look completely different. They would look almost more dried up. They would be more pink than red. It wouldn't be irritating him as much. I could see benefits and change from this bath immediately after he got out of the bath. It was so nice, and that's how I knew that it was working and it was doing the job, because things that weren't working, and we were trying all sorts of different things that weren't making a difference in his eczema, within one bath there was a difference. When he was deep in the pits of suffering from eczema, I would do this bath once or twice a week, and I did this bath once or twice a week for about a month or two, and then his eczema symptoms had virtually disappeared. And so now, just sort of as a maintenance type thing, because he is still exposed to toxins, as I said in the beginning of the video, as everybody is, I find myself doing this bath usually around once a month, or anytime I get around to it, anytime I sort of think about it. Once or twice a month usually seems to do just fine. So the first thing that you want to do is you want to draw a tub pretty full. You want most of the child's body to be submerged in the water. And I was doing this bath on my son When he was about 7 or 8 months old, I really wouldn't recommend it under 6 months old, just because it could be a little too overwhelming for their body. Unless the child is having, severe symptoms of toxic overload, I wouldn't really recommend it under 6 months old. So like I said, you want to draw a tub full of, as full as you're, comfortable. As long as it's, up to their waist, that's great. That's awesome. So you want to draw the tub with warm water. Obviously, you don't want to scald your child. You don't want to burn them or make them uncomfortable, but you want it to be warm as is comfortable. And this is simply because the heat in the hot water is going to aid in opening the pores. So as your water is running, the first thing that you want to add is baking soda. Baking soda, the number one reason that you want to add this, and you want to add this first, you want to add this before the child gets into the bath. Sometimes my son is super duper eager to get into the bath, and so I can add the other ingredients to the detox bath as he's in there to just stir up. But you want to add the baking soda before your child gets in, about 5 to 7 minutes before they get in. And this is because the baking soda is going to neutralize the chlorine in the water. Chlorine has been known to cause issues, and so you don't want your child's pores to be wide open and them to just absorb that chlorine in the water. So the baking soda is actually going to neutralize the chlorine. The reason that this is so important, like I said, is so that your child's body doesn't absorb it, but because the skin, which literally is your largest organ, it covers your entire body, and it's not just, it is a protective layer over your skin, but it allows things in and out of it. It's porous. You have pores, you have sweat glands and things like that. And you want to add about a cup or so of the baking soda in the water. If you are filling the water a little bit higher, if it's a larger child, then you can go up to like a cup and a half, but a cup should really be sufficient in dechlorinating the water for you. The next ingredient that you want to add is something called diatomaceous earth. And diatomaceous earth is something that I am so obsessed with. I love it so much. I use it for deworming my dogs, for fleas and ticks and things like that for my dogs. I use it internally in our smoothies for helping kill parasites and viruses and things like that in our own bodies. And obviously I use it in our detox baths. A large component that makes up diatomaceous earth is something called silica. And silica is amazing for the body. That's why we also ingest it, and that's why I also use it in my toothpaste. I use diatomaceous earth for everything, as you can tell. And many reputable studies have actually recognized silica's ability to remove heavy metals from the body, which is another toxin. And so silica helps to remove those, which is why diatomaceous earth is such a great substance to add into the bath. So even when submerged in liquid, diatomaceous earth remains a stable particle, which this allows it to attach to harmful and negative toxins and just pull it out into the bath water. Diatomaceous earth is also praised as a water purifier. It can remove numerous types of viruses, bacteria, like I said, heavy metals and things like that from the body, while also purifying the water. What it does is it takes these toxins and it drags it into them and holds on. One very important thing to know about diatomaceous earth is that you only use food grade diatomaceous earth ever around you or your pets, around any living animals. There's another kind of diatomaceous earth which is called industrial grade, and that's usually used in pools and things like that. But you want to only use, like I said, food grade around living things, because industrial grade is extremely toxic and can actually be deadly by just ingesting or inhaling even a tiny little bit. So I add to my son's bath, I add about half a cup of diatomaceous earth into his bath water. The next component that we're going to look at that I add to our detox baths is something called bentonite clay. And nobody will argue that clay has amazing healing benefits. I mean, you have clay masks, you have clay baths, you have all sorts of benefits that can be reaped from using clay in beauty and in health. There are many different types of clay, as I said before. This type is called bentonite clay. which all clays are, from the earth. They're natural substances. So there are all different types of clays, and these clays are actually classified by their mineral properties. Bentonite clay actually comes from weathered deposits of volcanic ash. And so that's why it's called bentonite clay, is that's the type of clay that it is. When bentonite clay is mixed with water, it actually becomes negatively charged. And this negative charge turns into almost like a magnet for heavy metals and things like that. And it actually attracts things with a positive charge. And substances with a positive charge can range from mercury, lead, aluminum, and things like that you just simply don't want in your body, but they do get in your body. Most heavy metals are actually, they're classified as something called cations, and this means that they carry a positive charge. So this negative charge is really, really beneficial to pretty much all types of heavy metals. But heavy metals aren't the only thing that bentonite clay actually draws out. Some studies have found that bentonite clay actually has a bactericidal type of effect, especially against the staph bacteria, which nobody wants staph bacteria in their body. And one of the main reasons why I ensured to use this in my son's bath, who is an eczema sufferer, is because people who have eczema, something like 70%, and don't quote me on that because I could be wrong, but a high percentage of people who suffer from eczema, when they get the eczema cultured, which is where they, just swab the eczema, staph bacteria can actually be cultured from that. And that's just simply because that broken skin and also that lowered level of protection on the skin, it just makes it a breeding ground for staph. And so the bentonite clay is super duper effective against staph bacteria, and so it helps just draw that out of the skin, draw that out of the body, and just get rid of it and kill it, essentially. Bentonite clay is actually interesting because not only is it, and diatomaceous earth is actually this way too by having silica as a main component, but bentonite clay is special because not only is it taking things away from the body, these bad things that you don't want, but it's actually giving good things to the body as well, like magnesium, calcium, potassium, silica. So I add 1/4 cup of bentonite clay into my son's baths. The next component that I add into his bath water is apple cider vinegar. I toss about 1/2 cup of apple cider vinegar into his water. Apple cider vinegar is amazing. I'm sure you guys have probably heard of apple cider vinegar doing all sorts of things for the body. It can be great if you're having issues like as a woman, if you're having pH issues with the vagina or anything like that. It can be awesome to sit in a bath of just apple cider vinegar and water, of course. It's for maintaining and regulating that pH. But in a detox bath, apple cider vinegar actually is amazing for giving the kidneys a boost and helping the kidneys out. So if you have a diet high in processed foods, when your body breaks that down, it actually creates high levels of something called uric acid in the body, and this can be really taxing on the kidneys. So adding this apple cider vinegar into your child's bath water can actually just give your child's kidneys just a little boost by helping break down this uric acid. Also, in children with eczema and skin conditions and things like that, apple cider vinegar just helps balance, like I was saying, in women, it helps balance the pH. It also helps balance the pH of the skin. Obviously, if the pH is on par and on the level that it should be on, healing is going to occur much quicker and much more effectively. And the last component that I add into our detox baths is Epsom salts. And I'm sure everybody, even if you're not, naturally minded in the slightest, has heard of Epsom salts, whether that be Epsom salt foot scrubs or foot soaks, or adding Epsom salts into your bath. So Epsom salts are extremely high in magnesium. So simply just taking Epsom salt baths is super duper beneficial because most people are actually deficient, especially most people in the United States are deficient in magnesium. And that's where a lot of issues like cramping and things like that come in, where you are cramping and headaches and all sorts of issues like that. It's usually because people are deficient in magnesium. So adding Epsom salts into the bath is super duper beneficial because while you're moving, as with all of these ingredients, which sort of take away bad things from the body and give good things to the body, Epsom salts help give magnesium into the body. Just soaking in a bath of Epsom salts once or even twice a week, depending on how low your magnesium levels are, can actually help you be able to skip the need for a magnesium supplement at all because you are simply absorbing so much. Epsom salt is sort of like a form of sea salt, except it's not sea salt. It's not from the sea. It was actually first found and first discovered in a saline lake in England. Yes, I said that right, a lake, a saline lake. And so Epsom salts are really, really high in salts. And I don't know if you've ever noticed, but if you like have a cut or a wound or something like that on your body and you go to the ocean and you hang out at the beach and you hang out in the salt water, the healing is actually increased exponentially. And that's just because of the effect that this salt, these natural salts, have on the body. Epsom salt is no different. It greatly promotes healing. For kids who are under 60 pounds, you want to add about half a cup of Epsom salts, and for people who are over 60 pounds, you want to add about a full cup of Epsom salts. And this bath, like I was saying, it's really targeted toward kids, these measurements especially, but I, use this bath, and any adult can use this bath. What I would recommend is just doubling the amounts for your bath. So my goal is to usually have my son soak in this bath for about 25 to 30 minutes. I know sometimes it can be a little difficult to have a kid soak in the bath for that long, so I'll usually pull out the iPad and set it up on top of our bathroom sink to, give him a little incentive to staying in the bathtub. But you really want to keep them in there for a while so that way the detoxification process can really become effective. With any kind of detox, whether it be, a full-on extreme detox or whether it just be something gentle like a detox bath, you want to make sure that you push a lot of fluids because it can cause, them to be thirsty and it can cause a little bit of dehydration. So just make sure that they, drink a little bit of extra water. I always give these baths to my son before bedtime because bath time is part of our nighttime routine, but also because these baths, they can be a little difficult and hard on the body to ridding itself of these toxins, and so it can leave them feeling a little sleepy. And so these baths are best done before bedtime. If you guys want to find out any more information about the brands of these components and ingredients that I use, or if you want to read more detail about the studies that I'm referring to and things like that, you can definitely check out my detox bath post on my blog. You'll also see a lot of cute pictures of Andrew when he was a little bit younger when I wrote this post, and I will leave the link to that in the description below. Detox baths are definitely part of our lives. The first time when I saw the magical, healing, amazing properties and effects of these baths, I've stuck to this recipe. I really haven't even tried any new recipes because I love this one so much. So I hope that you guys will give this a try, and definitely let me know in the comments below if you do, and the healing effects that you see in your children or in yourself, because as I said, this can be great for big grown-ups too. I will see you guys next time. Bye.